Politics is supposed to be the art of the possible. But sometimes it turns into theater, chaos or both, and nowhere does that chaos come out more clearly than in debates. Those carefully staged public face-offs that can go completely off the rails in the blink of an eye. Today, we're counting down 10 political debates that didn't just go off script, they blew up the script entirely. From screaming matches to walk-offs to viral disasters, these are the moments where the mask slipped and the political stakes got weird, wild, or just plain ugly. Let's get into it. 10. Nixon versus Kennedy, the debate that changed politics forever. In 1960, the first ever televised US presidential debate looked calm on the surface, but it was a turning point in how image would matter more than substance. Kennedy looked composed, tanned, and confident. Nixon, pale and sweating from illness, refused makeup and looked objectively rough. Radio listeners thought Nixon won. TV viewers overwhelmingly sided with Kennedy. The chaos here wasn't shouting, it was subtle, but it rewired political theater forever. From that day on, debates were about optics just as much as ideas. 9. The British pigs might fly debate. In 2015, then Prime Minister David Cameron was accused of some truly bizarre behavior involving a pig's head during a university ritual, based on an unverified account in a book. When Labour MPs tried to reference the story in Parliament during debate, chaos erupted. The Speaker had to intervene. The phrase, "pigs might fly," suddenly became both literal and deeply uncomfortable. While not technically part of official debate, it haunted Cameron's every appearance for weeks and made Britain's famously theatrical parliament feel like a surreal sitcom. 8. The Rick Perry oops moment. In a 2011 Republican primary debate, Texas Governor Rick Perry boldly declared he'd eliminate 3 federal agencies. The problem? He couldn't name the third one. He stalled, stumbled, and after agonizing silence, muttered one word. Oops. It instantly became a meme, late-night fodder, and one of the most painful moments in modern debate history. His campaign never recovered. It was a reminder that in the high-pressure world of politics, one forgotten word can end everything. 7. Canada's 2019 federal debate meltdown. Canada is often seen as polite, but their 2019 federal debate was anything but. Between Justin Trudeau, Andrew Scheer, Jagmeet Singh, and Elizabeth May, the debate turned into a 5-way verbal pileup. Everyone spoke over everyone else, moderators lost control, and at one point, no one could tell who was actually answering the question. Canadians used to calmer discourse were stunned. The Toronto Star called it chaos dressed as democracy. Not a good look for a country with a reputation for manners. 6. Trump versus Biden, the first 2020 debate. By now, everyone remembers the first 2020 presidential debate between Donald Trump and Joe Biden, but it still stands as one of the most off-the-rails political spectacles ever broadcast. Constant interruptions, insults like, "Will you shut up, man?" and a moderator begging for order. It was less a debate and more of a televised shouting match. It was so chaotic that the Commission on Presidential Debates had to change the format for the next round. It felt like reality TV, except with nuclear codes on the line. 5. The binders full of women incident. In 2012, during a presidential debate, Mitt Romney was asked about gender equality in hiring. He responded by saying he'd received binders full of women as candidates. He meant well, but the phrasing was so strange and clunky that it immediately trended online. Tumblr accounts, memes, even Halloween costumes popped up. The moment distracted from the actual issue of gender representation, and the message got buried in mockery. A classic case of a debate answer getting lost in translation and turned into internet gold. 4. Does this guy ever shut up? Australia's debate breakdown. In 2013, Australia's federal election featured a fiery showdown between Prime Minister Kevin Rudd and opposition leader Tony Abbott. What started as a typical debate quickly devolved into non-stop crosstalk. Rudd repeatedly cut in while Abbott was answering questions. At one point, visibly annoyed, Abbott turned and said exactly what millions of viewers were thinking. Does this guy ever shut up? The audience gasped, then laughed. Some applauded Abbott's honesty. Others thought it made him look unhinged. Either way, the line went viral and stuck to the campaign. It was the moment the gloves came off and civility left the stage. 3. The debate that sparked a revolution, Lech Wałęsa in Poland. In 1988, Poland was on the edge of collapse. Lech Wałęsa, the leader of the Solidarity movement, appeared in a live televised debate against a communist official. For the first time, a government opponent spoke freely on national TV. He was calm, precise, and powerful. His opponent rambled. The debate didn't just go off the rails for the regime, it helped to usher in democracy for Poland. Within a year, Poland held free elections. It's proof that sometimes when debates go sideways for the powerful, history turns right side up. 2. Brexit. Chaos in the UK Parliament. While not a single debate, the years-long Brexit saga turned the British Parliament into what some commentators called a circus. Debates over withdrawal deals were filled with shouting, walkouts, and more procedural confusion than a courtroom drama. At one point, Speaker John Bercow became a viral icon just from yelling "order" repeatedly. The breakdown in civility during these sessions reflected a nation divided, and a government barely holding it together. 1. The zinger that backfired. Lloyd Benson versus Dan Quayle. In the 1988 vice presidential debate, Dan Quayle compares his experience to that of John F. Kennedy. His opponent, Lloyd Benson, drops one of the most brutal comebacks in debate history. "Senator, I served with Jack Kennedy. I knew Jack Kennedy. Jack Kennedy was a friend of mine. Senator, you're no Jack Kennedy." The crowd gasped. Quayle visibly froze. It was the kind of moment that rewrites campaigns and becomes legend. One zinger, one perfectly delivered line, and the entire narrative of the debate flipped on its head. Politics isn't always polished. Sometimes it's raw, messy, and downright chaotic. But in those moments when debates fall apart or explode, they reveal something deeper. The pressure, the stakes, the very human flaws in people trying to lead entire nations. Thanks for watching Deca Facts. If you enjoyed this countdown, give it a like, subscribe for more, and let us know in the comments. What's the wildest political debate moment you've ever seen? We'll see you in the next countdown.